We pass straight away to Malta, another new member of Euroclassica, and Horacio Vella will speak on the ancient Greek roots of Maltese civilization.
So, my watch says 12 o'clock and 3 minutes, good afternoon. I have prepared some handouts, but because of problems, they have not been circulated. You will be able to read them in the forthcoming publication of Europatrida. I appear here today as a controversial figure in many ways because, contrary to traditional mistaken views, it was said that Malta, before 218 BC, as Livy tells us, was Phoenician. And I'm here to prove that Malta was not just Phoenician, but Phoenician and Greek. In fact, the very names of our two islands are Greek and not Phoenician. Malta is a corruption from Malita in Arabic, which is a translation or transliteration of Melite in Greek. For example, the nymph Melite, while Gozo was not called Gozo at all. It was called in those days Gaulos, with a lambda, Gaulos. We have lost Gaulos, not officially. Officially we are Gaulos. We write the name in Greek today as Gaulos. But unfortunately, Strabo, writing in the 1st century BC, made a monumental mistake by the of Gaulos into a gamma of Gaudos. And I say Gaudos, please, not Gavdos. It's a very important point, because I believe the smallest points lead to the most important conclusions sometimes. Strabo, why did he make such a mistake? Because there were two islands close to each other, Malta and Gozo, still close to each other today. He said that they were not far from the promontory of Pachynus. Now that is in the southeastern corner of Sicily, so there's no mistake there. And he said these two islands were about 88 stadia, stage, away from Pachynus, and their names were Melite, Kai, I pronounce it in the Erasmian way and not modern Greek way, Kai Gaudos. His mistake was in following Apollonius of Rhodes in placing the island of Ogygia, of Homer's Odyssey, in the Adriatic Sea, farther away, by calling Calypso's island as Nymphaea, the island of the nymph, that is not too far, relatively, that is from Melite, which is today the island of Mglet. So a couple of islands in the Adriatic Sea, Melite and what was then called Nymphaea. Now, there was a controversy before Strabo, referring to Callimachus quoting Apollodorus, saying that somebody transferred the island of Calypso from that Nymphaea to where we now know is Gavdos, a very small island to the southwest of Crete. If you read the Acts of the Apostles, you will know that the boat sailing, carrying St. Paul, hopefully to Rome, he didn't make it straight away, they made it later, they passed by a small island called Gaudos, today it's called Gavdos, and it was also, St. Luke calls it also Clauda, so it's the same name. And that island originally was called Ogygia, whereas Calypso's island was called Ogygia, and so the mistake again of lambda and gamma, I meant to say. So therefore, transposition first of Nymphaea Ogygia to Claudos or Clauda or Gavdos to what was formerly Ogygia. And that was a Phoenician settlement, as indeed was Gozo of Malta. The couple of islands, therefore, were then transferred to our archipelago in the middle of the Mediterranean. Apart from the names of Malta and Gozo being Greek, we also call nearby Sicily today, we don't call Sicily Sicilia, or as the Sicilians call it, Sicilia, you know. No, we call it Sikelia in Greek, except that instead of saying Sikelia, we say Alia, because the kappa, and through the help of Arabic, we have the sound. You know, we say not Sikelia, but Alia. It's the same. Notice the penultimate accent. Alia, last but one, not like Sicilia, last but two, which is a very Roman element. In addition, we have place names which come directly from Greek. For example, if you travel into the Grand Harbor of Malta, and you may have done so last year, I was the pilot then of the circumstance of Euroclassica. If you go to the furthest place inside, you come to Marsa, which means a port. But originally, that was not the end of the Grand Harbor. The end of the Grand Harbor was further inside, when the water used to go further in. The place name is Ormi. Now that is a Greek name. Contrary to what many people say traditionally by mistake. That's because they don't know Greek. And I've been teaching Greek over there for 27 years. They don't listen. And so maybe my students will continue to repeat. Namely, that Ormi comes from Greek pronunciation, Erasmian please. It's hormos, or rather plural, hormoi. The Byzantine Greeks lost the aspirant, the hard aspirant, so it becomes therefore ormoi. They changed the omicron iota into an E as in modern Greek, so it becomes ormi. And we Maltese don't like to start with a vowel, but put an original sound again. So it's now ormi, you follow. And as the ships come into the Grand Harbor, There on the left is Fort St. Angelo today. It is called Birgo today, Birgo, and that is not Borgo. It's not a suburb of anything. It is Pyrgos in Greek. And as the Byzantine Greeks and modern Greeks have done, they changed the ypsilon into an iota in sound, it's E sound, you know. And then the sigma drops, and in the usual omicron, we in Maltese, in the Sicilian tradition, we change it into a U, like Turiddu, for example, you follow? So therefore, today it's called Birgo. If you're not convinced, you please go then to Trapani, and next to Trapani, there is a place called Birgi, and it is Pergi, plural, that is towers, towers. It was the tower of the Grand Harbour that guarded Byzantine Greek from the beginning of the entrance, that is, of the harbour, to the very innermost part, Ormi. And so it was the place where the Byzantine Greeks fought against the Arabs. Let me say, there are many more things to prove that Malta was not just Phoenician but Greek. For example, we have three inscriptions that were written in Greek. Why do you write in Greek if the audience is just Phoenician or Carthaginian? You write then in Punic or some other language like Latin, for example, you know? But it was written by the Greeks, for the Greeks on the island. One of them was written on a copper plate dedicated to Demetrius of Syracuse, and we know the date because the contents say that the government of Malta had two prime ministers and not one, and that was the Phoenician system of having two rabs, two chiefs of the island, who were also the chiefs of the municipalities. Now, when the Romans took over in 218 BC, they changed the system into protos tes nesu, that is the chief of the island, or in the Acts of the Apostles, the Publius, the governor of Malta, was called protos ton Melitaion, the chief of the Maltese. And so therefore, from government of two prime ministers in Carthaginian times, we have now one prime minister of Roman times. We have the Serapion bilingual stele or pinnacle, okay, or a column with a dedication to Heracles Archagetes by the two sons of Serapion in Greek and in Punic, because the locals were both Phoenicians and Greeks. And so if you were Phoenician, you followed one language, if you followed Greek, the other. The Acts of the Apostles have the longest passage which treats about one country, and that is Malta. When St. Paul came to Malta, was shipwrecked there, St. Luke dedicated more than one chapter. He does it for no other instance. And there is the term which I'm going to explain for you perhaps the first time. The word is barbaroi. We Maltese are not barbarians. We were called barbaroi because we did not, we were knowledgeable of Greek. We were Phoenicians and Greeks at the same time. Barbaroi does not mean Greek-speaking or non-Greek speaking people. Instead, as the father of Maltese literature, scholar, explained, and I produced the publication lately, he said barbaroi comes from Semitic. Bar, the first bar, means son, as you have in the Bible, Bar Jonah, the son of Jonah. Bar Jesus, the son of Jesus, and so on. The other bar with double R, we have it in Maltese. Barra means outside. It's outside of the city, means countryside. They were barbaroi, the children of the countryside that gave hospitality to St. Paul. And so, therefore, it shows that the Acts of the Apostles do not deny the fact that the Maltese people then did not understand Greek. To continue, I would like to say that coins also were found in the Roman times, but written not in Latin, nor in Punic, which the Romans did not fancy copying or writing or studying. In fact, the passage in Poinolos was not written in Carthaginian at all. It was in words which make no sense, and the audience clapped because they heard no sense. I would say that the inscriptions on the Maltese coins of the Roman times were Greek, even in Roman times. And we have also the Lucius Castricius, inscription in the times of Emperor Tiberius. We are now in the Roman times, and yet the language was Greek. Why? Because the inhabitants were Greeks. And recently, a DNA was made among the peoples of Malta and Lebanon. And you know the result, what it is. The result is those people and we are the same people. We have the same DNA. You may say, but you are saying the Maltese people are Phoenicians and Greeks, and the Lebanese, they are like Canaanites, they are, But no, those people were invaded, were governed by the Seleucid Greeks. And there was a mixture of Greeks and Phoenicians in Lebanon, as there was a mixture of Phoenicians and Greeks in Malta. One last concluding point, because the time is up. I have produced in 2010 an important document showing a poem written by a Greek exile from Greek Sicily, and he was transferred to the island of Gozo. Of all this document that I'm concerned with you today is that there was a person who signed in the lower margin of the document. He said, I am diakonos, deacon, and that we don't have in the Latin rite, that's Greek rite. It is Orthodox rite in the 12th century AD. Philippos Gautis. He does not say, I'm Gaftis. So that is not Byzantine Greek surname. Gautis we write today as Gautis, and we pronounce it today as Gauci. And that is a surname which means I am from Gozo. What I mean to say by this is that we Maltese are really Greeks, judging from this list of Greek surnames, which I hope you will remember as I go down from these steps. And I read them to you, and if anybody here in Greece, in Athens, has that surname, please stand up. And these are Anastasi, Apap, Bonici, Burlo, Kakia, Kaleia, Kallus, Coleiro, Kamenzuli, Kumbo, Kushkiri, Grek, Anem, Grishti, Kirkop, Malia, Episcopos, and Shkembri, Stafrace. So all these are present Maltese surnames. We indeed are Maltese. Welcome to Athens. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Horatio, for that very clear and felt intervention. And all those place names in Malta and Gozo are now familiar to us because we had our meeting there last year.